What is going on, guys? Pumpson87 here, and today I'm finally bringing you another F1 2018 video. This is a league race. This isn't an ALR or anything. This is a league made by Saddo, I believe it is. And this is basically just using classic cars, random circuits, random classic cars, random circuits, pretty much as I just said. And yeah, I think it's every Wednesday night they do it. So it's not really like a big sweaty league or anything like that. You won't get any big prizes for winning it, but it's just a pretty cool night to race some classic cars which you wouldn't race usually against fellow league racers. So it's pretty cool and it's pretty fun. Now this time, as you can see, it is the BMW 2003 around the French Grand Prix circuit. And this car, I actually really quite like. I mean, just listen to the way it sounds as well. It sounds gorgeous, and gotta admit, I really love the handling of these cars as well. That being said, I only downloaded the DLC pack for classic cars literally 5 minutes before this race started. I had no practice, that means, and this is the first time I've ever driven this car on this game alone at all. So it was a bit of a, you know, bit of a tall order to get used to. But fortunately, these cars do have built-in traction control, which made things a little easier, not gonna lie. And that did make the handling sort of more enjoyable as well. Like, I felt like you could actually push it quite a bit. I'm just gonna play the natural sounds just for the final few seconds of this lap, just so you can enjoy the engine noises. And then we across the line. It wasn't the best lap in the world. I believe we went P8 with that. So yeah, we got a slightly dodgy exit out of the final corner as we, on our second run, we completely cut turn 2, which was a bit silly of me there. But turn 1 or 2 of the circuit, the way the sunlight hits it, you can barely see the apex of both corners, even with the racing line. So it's a bit annoying, but can't be helped. And as I can see, P8 on the grid. Greek Masters on pole, Zombie second, Rain third, Devbro fourth, Dominator fifth, and I believe it was someone else. I can't remember who it was, sixth. Benny F1 seventh, and Neon Tree Dome just behind me in ninth. So as I set up, we're on track now. The strategy is a one stop, although if we're pretty good on our tyres, we could maybe do a no stop. Let's see how we go. So lights out now, and away we go, and it's actually a pretty good start. Really unusual for me in this game, as Deathbro takes out Dominator there. They had a really shocking start, and we're now inching ahead of Dominator. Go slightly wider turn 1, trying to give him room. Then we have to give him room on the outside, and that allows Dominator to just swoop around the outside of us. And that's a bit unfortunate. Back down into P7, I believe it is. As Dominator there outbreaks himself and nearly runs in the back of Gamble as we completely muck up that corner and run into the side of Exdona. That was completely my fault, to be honest. I changed down to second gear a bit too early and just locked the rears and just skidded into Exdona's path. Luckily, it was wheel-on-wheel contact, so there's no damage. So that is a good thing, as it didn't affect Exdona much either. I mean, it's still right behind me. So let's press on with this race as Dominator going down the inside of Gamble, and they're going side by side through the chicane here. Let's see how good Slipstream is with these cars. The setup that we're using is 3-4 wings, so slightly low downforce. Let's see how we go. Those two ahead, going side by side for the corner. Gamble runs out massively wide, and that's lost some position to me as Dominator ahead and myself. I believe he actually lost the position to Exdona as well behind. So a really unfortunate mistake from Gamble there, really cost him, as now going through this understeering left-hander. And yeah, the French Grand Prix track I actually really quite like. Once you get a rhythm going, it's really quite flowing. And it's actually quite nice to drive some after a while. But go for the final corner now. A lot of people complain about this corner, but when you get it right, actually, it's better than the guy ahead. It's actually not bad. Like, it's, I don't know, I don't mind the corner that much. So going through that left-hander there, we make a big mistake understeering off the track, and that allowed Exdona to catch up and, well, made myself fall off the back of Dominator there. And in fact, going on lap 4 with a terrible run onto the pit straight there, we just completely, I think we turned in and then backed out of it and then turned it again, which cost us quite a bit of time, and Exdona's right in the back of us. So let's see how good Slipstream is. I'm not quite sure what wings he's running. Probably low downforce like me, I'm not quite sure. But he's going to look for the outside line, we're going to defend the inside, brake very nicely, and there's no way Exdona can get past there. So we survive another day into FW25, chasing down Dominator and Zombie just ahead. Rain and Greek have both stretched away with this race, so there's pretty no chance of catching them. The Zombie, holding a bit of a train here, as he's holding up Dominator and myself, and External is still right behind me. As Dominator there makes a big mistake, doing like what I did, and understeering off the track at that left-hander, and he's looking very slow. So should we get him to the final corner? He's defending quite a bit, so we think about move down the inside, but he defends the inside there. But we might be able to get a better exit than he does onto this stuff in his straight. He goes a little bit on the curb, a little bit more than me, but let's see if we can get him. I don't know what wings Dominator's running, but I feel like he's running a little bit more downforce than I was. So we're getting the slipstream, but we're not quite close enough. Turn 1 isn't really a place you can dive bomb. It's not a heavy braking zone, and if you do try and dive bomb, you're just going to end up doing a battle into Bottas like in real life. So on to lap 5 now. We've still got External right behind us, and yeah, let's see if we can get Dominator now. As we're in the slipstream, obviously Rich Mix, we put quite a bit of fuel in, so we're using Rich Mix in a lot of this race. I don't know why we're getting so much train line speed of Dominator there. We're going up the inside into the fast right. He didn't fight it as well, which I'm not sure why he didn't, but I'm going to take it anyway. As he was looking up the inside there, I had to open the steering and give him space on the inside. That would have been a massive accident. As we go slightly deep, he looks around the outside of that left-hander, and yep, we got position ahead of Dominator there, as we're now up to P4 in this race. Zombie only about a second or two ahead, so hopefully we can catch him down, or hunt him down and overtake him for a spot on the podium, as Dominator actually pits behind us. So he's going for an mighty undercut, or he's going for the two-stop strategy. I'm not quite sure, but my tyres are perfectly fine actually. They're about 30–40%. But to be honest, I didn't really feel much wear. Like, driving it, I didn't really feel like there's any sort of problems. And I was actually considering doing the the no-stop strategy, but I feel like the percentages would have caught up to me at the end of the race, and I feel like I would have got a puncture. Tyre grip-wise, I feel like it would have been alright, but there's External go for another move down the outside, and he actually made a mistake there and spun under braking. I believe he went down too many gears and just locked the rears and spun right around, and that means Gamble is now behind us by a couple of seconds, and I believe it's Death Bro behind him, I'm not quite sure. Either way, lap 13, we lock up the rears going into the pit lane there, so try to avoid a 5-second stop-go penalty, as that would really affect things in this race. So going to the pit box now. Will we get stuck in the pit lane like in our previous video? Change the tyres, and no we don't. Luckily for us, we make it out perfectly fine. Gamble also pitted at the same time we did. I think Rain ahead also did the same. Zombie, by the way, has actually stayed out, so hopefully we can get an undercut on him. He was about one or 2 seconds ahead, and I feel like because the older tyres were still feeling quite good, so I was worried about how much of an undercut, how powerful an undercut would be. But I was setting a few personal bests, and that Zombie actually couldn't have pit lane right in front of us. He's got a lot of speed over him, looking at the inside into turn 1. He leaves the room on the inside. He gets a compromise run for turn 2. As they're looking down the inside now towards turn 3, as someone behind says a fast lap race. We're still continuing this battle with, well, warning for collision, even though I swear I didn't touch him. We're going round the outside of the snail section, which turns to the inside for this hairpin. And that's a very risky move. Zombie tried to hold it round my outside, but I got the inside line for the snail section. Right-hander leaning onto the back straight, and that was a wonderful move on Zombie there. He literally emerged out of the pit lane or a side-by-side, as the undercut really did work and gained that few seconds I was behind him. But he's looking for a move round the outside of the chicane, and there's a little bit of a cheeky corner cut by me there. That was a bit cheeky. I just tried to avoid a collision, that's all. But I've eased out of it. Now we're side-by-side once again, going down the back straight towards the quick, flat-out turn. The right-hander turn. I'm not quite sure what turn is, but who's going to think first? We're trying to leave him room on the inside, but he just pushes me out wide and gives me a time penalty, which is I was a little annoyed about that, but that's a bit of karma, I suppose, for me corner cutting to keep position earlier. But he's still side-by-side with us, and he's going to look round the outside into the understeery left-hander, and still, this is great racing with Zombie. And he's still right behind us. He's got a better exit out of that corner. We defend the inside. He's looking round the outside. There's no way his tyres can hold on to that. We defend the inside into this corner, as he can dive bomb if you're getting enough. And luckily we do keep the position of Zombie, but he still gets a pretty good exit out of the final corner there. Really have a look for a move up the inside, and we defend the inside. He looks around the outside in turn 1. We leave him in the room, and there's no way he can get that position, unfortunately, for Zombie. So we get to P3. with a lovely little battle of Zombie Hunter there. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and so did Mitchie watching in his stream. Go check that out if you haven't already, because he live streams all these races and he produces some pretty hilarious commentary sometimes for it as well. So go check it out, and hopefully, yeah, hopefully I can do more of these classic videos in the future. But yeah, just continuing on now, and I actually figured out that you can talk to Jeff and find out with penalties of the guy, like the gaps and the penalties to the guy behind and the guy in front. And unfortunately, Jeff told me that Gamble behind has a lot less penalties than I do. The only thing was, I felt like my pace in this race was pretty good, but I was corner cutting and track ascending a bit too much. So I had like 12 seconds of penalties, I believe, whereas Gamble only had 1. Rain ahead at 9 seconds, but he was way too far up the road anyway. Zombie, by the way, I'm not quite sure what happened to him. He just dropped off back in me after we had that battle. And unfortunately, we lost our P3 to Gamble and also to Death Bro. So we're now P5 on track. I knew I was going to lose my podium to Gamble after I checked there with Jeff. But I didn't realise I'll lose my position to Death Bro as well, which is kind of unfortunate, but oh well. I still feel like I had pretty good pace, especially considering the other classics race I've done. I've done a few other classic races on F1 2017, and I bottled pretty much every single one of them so far. So this is the first race I've actually finished, I think finished in the points, to be honest. So to finish in the points and have a pretty good race with some pretty good paddles of P5, yeah, I feel like it was definitely worthy of an upload. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully there'll be more to come. And I'll see you guys for my next video, whatever that may be. So see you guys then. Problems out.